Alright guys, so today we're going to be comparing the Sony ZV-1 with the Sony a7 III so that you can make a better educated decision on which system is best for you. I'm going to be comparing things that I find important when I go out and shoot so that I can get a good insight onto how these two match up to each other. I'm using a Sony 28mm to 70. I'm going to keep it at 28mm. I'm going to keep this one at 24mm so that they have the same exact focal length so that we really will be comparing apples to apples. I have both of the manual exposure settings set exactly the same on both cameras along with the menus inside the cameras so that we really do get an even comparison. I didn't touch any of the picture profiles inside these cameras because I want to see how the colors look straight out of camera. However, we do touch on picture profiles later in the video, so if you're interested to see how good the dynamic range is in both of these cameras, stick around to the end. So the Sony a7 III comes in at $2,000 US, but it doesn't come with a lens or an ND filter. Whereas the ZV-1 that comes in at $750 US comes with not only a lens, but an ND filter system that works digitally with inside the camera. So for price, the ZV-1 takes it. By the way, we're not going to be talking about any of the specs in these cameras, just some of those hot topic things people look for when they're shopping for a camera. So for the next comparable, I want to talk about how easy these are to use. How easy is it just to pull it out of your bag, go out and shoot, and come home and put it away. With the Sony a7 III, it has a lot of different lenses, which is good because it gives you creative freedom, but it definitely takes up more time to set your lenses and then maybe even to put an ND filter on it if it's sunny outside, whereas everything comes with this camera, lens and the ND filter inside, so the ease of use goes to the ZV-1. Next, we're going to talk about the image stabilization in both of these cameras. This camera has two different settings. One is standard, one is active. Active is a really good stabilization. It just punches in, whereas this one has image stabilization and it's probably the equivalent to this standard. So I want to go outside and I want to figure out how these two match up when it comes to image stabilization. I'm going to do both handheld and throw them both up on the gimbals to see which one gives the best quality video. So both of these cameras performed great on the gimbals. Once I went handheld, you could really tell a difference. The active feature in the ZV-1 way outperformed this Sony in-body stabilization. So when it comes to handheld, the ZV-1 takes it. When it comes to gimbal, the a7 III takes it. All right, so now let's talk about the autofocus capabilities of both of these cameras. This one doesn't even have a manual rack to focus manually, so I guess they're really confident that their autofocus system works good, so I'm excited to see how good it works compared to the a7 III. Wow, I was really impressed with how this performed in the autofocus arena against the a7 III. The a7 III did have a little bit quicker of a response, so I'm going to give this to the a7 III, but this was a close runner-up, and it is giving this a7 III a run for its money. I wanted to test out the slow motion on both of these cameras to test out the smoothness and the quality of the video. So looking at the quality of the video, I could see that the a7 III had a little bit higher of a quality video. Maybe it's because the components in the a7 III are bigger, stronger, and faster. I'm gonna give this one to the a7 III. Now let's listen to the native audio inside both of these cameras. ZV-1 audio test 12 feet away. Audio test a7 III 12 feet away. ZV-1 audio test 6 feet away. Audio test a7 III 6 feet away. ZV-1 audio test 3 feet away. Audio test a7 III 3 feet away. Alright guys, so even though both of these internal microphones have a different sound to them, They both sound really good. I'm gonna give this one a tie. So the next comparison we're gonna do is battery life. I get about an hour's worth of shooting with this if I'm shooting consistently, whereas I get a half a day to a full day with the A7 III. This one goes to the A7 III. So I took these cameras to a low light setting to see how far I could take the ISO before the footage fell apart. Okay, Sony A7 III, we are starting off at ISO 100, 200, 400, 800, 1000, 1250, 1600, 2000, 2500, 3200, 4000, 5000, 6400, 8000, 10,000, 12,800. ZV-1, 125, 200, 500, 800, 1000, 1250, 2000, 3200, 4000, 5000, 6400, 8000, 10,000, 12,800 maxed out. The A7 III dominated in this category. This thing is known for shooting in low light. I would be very careful about going anywhere past 2500 to 3200 with this camera in the ISO settings. Everything just starts to fall apart. I think a better option if you're using the ZV-1 is to shoot in a well-lit environment. So all of the colors that you've seen are straight out of these cameras. Now we're gonna talk about picture profiles, and I'm gonna switch both of these picture profiles to S-Log2 so I can get a really good idea of how good the dynamic range is in both of these cameras. I set the S-Log2 parameters in both of these cameras to the same exact settings so that we have a really good comparison on both. No picture profile, and I'm shooting out of the A7 III, looking at the A7 III. This is the official shot of no picture profile. I'm looking at the ZV-1. This is picture profile 7 on both cameras, and I have the exposure compensation set to 2.0. This is picture profile 7, and I have the exposure compensation set to 2.0. I color graded the S-Log2 footage the same exact way, and started to notice some fall off with the quality of the dynamic range out of this camera, so this one goes to the A7 III. However, I cannot believe how good the dynamic range is in this little camera. Although the dynamic range out of the A7 III gave me a little bit more to play with, I still was really impressed. This one goes to the A7 III. So the A7 III has some better features and better video quality, but the ZV-1 comes really close. All you need is like a little gimbal and maybe an external mic, and you've got a cinematic powerhouse. I also want to note that the A7 III does not have a flip out screen, whereas the ZV-1 does. This becomes a problem when you're shooting yourself. For example, I've already shot this video 3 different times and I didn't see something in the frame that I would not have shot if I had a flip out screen on my A7 III. This is where the ZV-1 really shines. So I hope this video helped you better understand the differences between these two cameras so that you can make a better decision on which system is best for you. As always, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe. I'm Joe with Pottermade, and let's grow as we go.